Greetings, students, and welcome to Caste, Untouchability, and Economic Justice in Hinduism. So in this presentation, we're going to do a very brief overview. We'll talk about the caste system, Dalit discrimination, as well as some caste reform movements. So a major social justice issue within Hinduism today is that of caste discrimination and the civil rights of what we call Dalits, or the depressed classes within the caste system. And the caste system refers to the socio-economic religious hierarchy of Hinduism. And throughout its history, the caste system has changed and evolved. So for example, in the ancient caste system, there consisted four major varna, or divisions of society. At the top of this presumed hierarchy existed the Brahmins, or the priestly caste, followed by the Kshatriya, or the warrior ruling caste, the Vaishya, or the merchant caste, and the Shudra, the laboring caste. And as you can see, according to this pyramid, we can assume that the Shudra comprise the majority of people in society, whereas the Brahmin caste represent the minority of people in society. So it is believed that in ancient Hindu culture, that the Brahmins had the most amount of authority and ritual purity, whereas the Shudra had the lowest amount of kind of political, religious authority and wealth and ritual purity. Now, in the medieval modern period, the caste system changed in that it developed what are called jati, or subcastes within each of the varna. So as we can see in our diagram, there came to be jati within the Shudra caste. So we have the Shudra, the standard Shudra, who are the laborers and the farmers. But then there developed a subcaste of Shudra referred to as the Ati Shudra, which would later become known as the Untouchables. And as you can see on the left side of the diagram, the Shudra and Ati Shudra are referred to today as Dalits, or the depressed classes. Now, according to Hindu sacred texts, the caste system is of divine origin, being created by God. So again, it is not a human creation, but rather it is a divine creation. And because it is of divine origin, it is in harmony with Dharma, the universal moral law. Now, in the myth of Purusha, which, as you may remember, we read earlier in the semester, which comes from the Vedas, the caste system was created from the body of the man-god Purusha. And as we can see from our selection from the Rig Veda, from the myth of Purusha, it says here, when they divided the man, into how many parts did they disperse him? What became of his mouth? What of his arms? What were his 2 thighs and his feet called? His mouth was the Brahmin, his arms were made into the nobles or Kshatriya, his 2 thighs were the populace, and from his feet the servants or the Shudra were born. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is believed that the god Vishnu created the caste system. So as we can see from the Bhagavad Gita, and this is Vishnu in the form of Krishna talking, I created the 4 divisions of human society based on aptitude and vocation. Though I am the author of this system of the division of labor, one should know that I do nothing directly and I am eternal. In other words, there's this idea that Vishnu created the caste system and just kind of let it do its thing. So the caste system is kind of like a divine laissez-faire system where God doesn't really partake or kind of control the system, but just kind of created it and let it be free. And finally, in the laws of Manu, it is proposed that one's actions in their previous life determines which caste they are born into in their current life. So as is stated in the laws of Manu, in consequence of many sinful acts committed with his body, a man becomes in the next birth something inanimate in consequence of sins committed by speech, a bird or a beast. and in consequence of mental sins, he is reborn in a low caste. So if a man in his previous life commits many mental sins, he is born into a lower caste in the next life. Now, because of the belief that lower caste Hindus deserve their low status because of actions committed in their previous lives, many of the Shudra and Ati Shudra castes are considered outcasts of society, kind of deserving of their low caste status. Thus, people of the so-called lower castes or Dalits are often the victims of abuse and discrimination in Hindu society. So every year there are more than 62,000 human rights violations committed against Dalits. 150 million Dalit children are in what is believed to be slavery in India. And at least 2 Dalit women and children are raped every hour. And despite acts prohibiting caste discrimination in India's constitution, because discrimination of Dalits or untouchables is considered illegal, Dalits are still considered by many in the Hindu community to be subhuman, ritually impure, and deserving of alienation from the rest of society. Therefore, Dalits are often denied access to public water. They are assaulted for touching those of higher castes because they are believed to be ritually impure. They are denied entry into colleges and universities, and are turned down for distinguished employment opportunities such as in the professions of law or as college professors, physicians, etc. So as we can see, if one is a member of the Dalit subcaste, there are economic consequences for being in that caste, in that you are denied educational and job opportunities. Now, in the 19th and 20th centuries, several Hindu caste reform movements have been founded to advocate for the rights of Dalits, also known as untouchables. But perhaps the most famous advocate of the civil rights of untouchables in the West is Mahatma Gandhi. And Gandhi, who was a devout Vaishnava Hindu, or worshipper of the god Vishnu as supreme being, wrote that untouchability is the greatest sin of Hinduism. So in addition to leading the movement for Indian independence from Great Britain, he also strived for the abolishment of untouchability in Hindu society. Interestingly, however, Gandhi argued that untouchability and caste discrimination are actually not part of Hindu teaching. For Gandhi, the essence of Hinduism is equality. But he argued that over time, this message of equality has been corrupted by Brahmins or the priestly caste for their own personal gain. So in the publication Young India, Gandhi writes, "I assure you that in Hinduism there is no sanction for treating a single human being as untouchable. In the estimation of a Brahmana knowing and living his religion, a Shudra is as good as himself. The Bhagavad Gita has nowhere taught that a Chandala is in any way inferior to a Brahmana. But unfortunately for the human race, the Brahmana shares with humankind the frailties of all. In common with others, he has neglected his duty of giving knowledge to mankind, of guiding them in the right and truest path." And he further writes in a different edition of Young India, "I believe in the doctrine of equality as taught by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. The Gita teaches us that members of all 4 castes should be treated on an equal basis. As a Vaishnava, I refuse to believe that anyone can be regarded as untouchable by reason of his or her birth." So as we can see, Gandhi is grounding his argument in his understanding of the essential message of the Bhagavad Gita with respect to caste and caste duty. And as we can further see, Gandhi might be making a point here, because as is stated in the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna, an enlightened person, by perceiving God in all, looks at a learned person, an outcast, even a cow, an elephant, or a dog with an equal eye. Everything has been accomplished in this life by the one whose mind is set in equality. Such a person has realized the Supreme Being because the Supreme Being is flawless and impartial. So within the Hindu tradition today, there continues to be a theological debate regarding caste equality and the reality of untouchability. And some questions that are debated in Hinduism are members of the different Hindu castes equal, or does the caste system insinuate a hierarchy? So of course Gandhi argued for the prior attitude, that indeed the Hindu caste system denotes equality, not a hierarchy. But again, not everyone agrees with Gandhi on this point. And can one be born untouchable, or is untouchability merely a fleeting phenomenon that can be purified through religious practice? So again, Gandhi argued that no one is born untouchable. One can be made untouchable because of certain sinful actions, but that those things can be remedied through certain religious practice. But again, not everyone agrees with Gandhi on this point. Now, in this learning module, we are going to be watching some videos, and in those videos, we will learn more about the experiences of Dalits in contemporary Hindu society, as well as about the current Dalit revolution in India. So now that you're done with this, please proceed to your videos.